Hello everyone, my name is Miss Evah Engel and I am the band director and instrumental music teacher at Spring Grove. I've been there for 2 years now, and before that I was a student at the University of Minnesota, and before that I lived in Illinois. Today we are going to read this story. It is called The Story Orchestra in the Hall of the Mountain King. Now, In the Hall of the Mountain King is a very famous song that I bet some of us will be able to recognize. And this is a really special book because there are buttons that when I press, music is going to play. We gotta wait for it to stop. Okay, so there's going to be a button on every page where it's going to play music by this composer here. His name is Edvard Grieg, and he is the person that wrote In the Hall of the Mountain King. Okay, his most famous piece of music is called Peer Gynt, and that is where In the Hall of the Mountain King comes from. It is music for a story that his friend wrote about a man named Peer Gynt who kind of gets in a lot of trouble. And this book is talking about his adventures in the Hall of the Mountain King. So we'll get to hear the story of Edvard Grieg's friend and hear Edvard Grieg's music. So here we go. In the Hall of the Mountain King, at the foot of some mountains very far away, Peer Gynt is with his mother at a wedding. The couple is dancing and the guests are eating, but Peer is bored. His mother tells him to play quietly, but Peer dreams of adventure. And that's our music that we heard. Peer Gynt leaves the wedding and comes across a lake. It's very beautiful and peaceful. Too peaceful for Peer. He is looking for excitement. Suddenly, Peer sees some dairy people. Peer knows he should return to the wedding, but he goes over to say hello to the dairy people instead. I am a brave and heroic nobleman, boasts Peer. I am an adventurer. I have even ridden a reindeer through the sky. Who else rides reindeer through the sky? Santa! The dairy people don't believe him. Go to the Mountain Kingdom, they reply, and bring back a piece of treasure from the Mountain King's hoard. You should find this easy. Peer accepts the challenge and sets off, forgetting about his mother and the wedding. As he leaves, one of the dairy girls runs after him. Take this precious stone with you, she pleads. It will keep you safe. I won't need it, replies Peer, but I'll take it anyway. Peer Gynt approaches the mountains. There is an entrance to a cave at the base of one. Outside this entrance, Peer meets some gnomes. Do not go inside, they cry. Beware, beware. I am a brave and heroic nobleman, boasts Peer. I am an adventurer. I have even battled a fearsome dragon. Nothing can harm me. Peer leaves the gnomes behind and prepares to enter the mountain. It's very dark and spooky inside the mountain. The ground is mossy and plants hang from the ceiling. Peer treads very carefully and quickly through the tunnels. What's that sound? Who's there? Peer is starting to think that he's being watched. Maybe he should have listened to the gnomes. That's the one that we're going to start to recognize. And does that sound lighter or darker than the music that we heard before? Darker, right? We're getting darker as we're going into the cave. Suddenly, 1,000 candles flicker on, and the cave is flooded with bright light. Pierre looks around and sees trolls. There are so many of them guarding piles of glittering treasure. Pierre makes for the entrance, ducking under rocks, leaping over crevices, and twisting out of the way of the trolls. He can just see the entrance and, oh, he is captured. Is that faster or slower than the movie just read? Faster, right? It's getting more and more exciting. The trolls take Peer Gynt to the Mountain King. Who are you? Demands the Mountain King. Why are you here? I am, begins Pierre, but he is too frightened to continue. I give you a choice, says the Mountain King. Bring me a gift, or become a troll like me. Pierre doesn't want to become a troll. It would mean never seeing his family again. But Pierre thinks he has nothing to offer until he remembers the special stone. Pierre takes the stone from his pocket. It is so bright that the trolls shrink away from the sight of it, momentarily blinded. Pierre takes this chance to escape through the tunnels, leaving the angry trolls behind him. As he leaves the mountain, he grabs a golden cup from the piles of treasure. Pierre runs through the mountains and reaches the lake where he sees the dairy people. Pierre presents the golden cup to them as a gift. Then he approaches the girl sitting on the bank of the stream. Thank you for your stone, he says to her. I was captured by the Mountain King and it saved my life. It was nice to meet you, but now I have somewhere else to be. Where do you think he's going to go back to?
The wedding.
Peer Gynt goes back to the wedding. All of the wedding party have left except for his mother. She is very worried. Where have you been? She asks. I am a brave and heroic nobleman, explains Pierre. I am an adventurer. I have even battled a mountain troll, but I couldn't have done it without a friend. Pierre's mother smiles, and they walk home together, hand in hand. And that is the end. Did anyone recognize any of the songs that we played? In the Hall of the Mountain King is the most famous song by Edvard Grieg, who is a Norwegian composer, right? That's why we're reading him today. Yeah, Clara. Did you forget?
I think you were going to say who's Norwegian.
Oh, you were going to raise your hand? Well, there you go. Who's Norwegian? We know Clara for sure. There you go.
Eva, what instrument do you know how to play?
Yes. So my main instrument is the flute, right? I have played the flute for some of you today here. But because I went to music school to be a band director, I had to learn how to play all the different instruments. So pretty much all the instruments that you can find in a band, I know how to play. But flute is the one I like to play best. What other instruments do we play? Penny whistle, ukulele, maracas. What about drums, right? With Mrs. Engel. You've never played guitar in music, have you?
We play drums.
Have you played drums with Mrs. Engel? The xylophone with Mrs. Engel? Yeah, lots of great musicians.
Mrs. Engel does that? Well, she does have penny whistles.
She does have penny whistles. She knows how to play the
She
penny
has
whistle too.
but she never gets on that.
Oh, yes, slide whistle.
So, Miss Engel, could you tell us what is the difference between a band and an orchestra generally?
So a band is made up of wind instruments that you blow out of, like a flute or a penny whistle. An orchestra has string instruments, more like a ukulele or the violin that we were talking about. Orchestras often do have wind instruments as well. You will find flutes and clarinets and trumpets and tubas all in orchestras as well. But the addition to an orchestra is that there is the string section. And percussion is also in both. Percussion is all the drums.
And when you go to see a symphony orchestra, for example, like at an orchestra hall, how big is a professional orchestra?
It is huge, right? You have like 10 violins all playing and 10 cellos and 10 basses, and there's a bunch of percussionists. Whereas at Spring Grove, we can really only have a small band. So it's good to go see those really big orchestras and bands because they make so much sound, and it's so different than what we hear every day in our music classes or in band.
Did you hear any instruments that aren't played at Spring Grove by the band when you were listening to this book?
Yes.
What sort of instruments did you hear that we don't learn how to play at Spring Grove right now?
What about,
The violin.
we heard violins, right? String instruments. Violin is the highest one, but then you could play that big bass, right?
Oh,
That
yeah,
is-
the banjo you don't hear here.
That's true. I don't think we heard a banjo in here though, but you're right, it is a string instrument, just like the violin and the bass. But yeah, this is an orchestra.
Do you like string instruments the best besides the flute?
Besides the flute, I think my other favorite is the trombone.
Oh, that's
That one is kind of like a slide whistle, right? Because it has a big slide that you can move in and out to change your notes. So that's the one I like best, or second best to my flute.
What if we go around the room and say which instrument you might be interested in playing when you're a little older? Who has
You
an
have
answer?
ideas.
Let's see. Okay.
Big
you
Leg
know-
already
you know
has
the
a
name.
Sure, yeah,
instrument?
we'll start. Jariah.
the flute.
The flute you want to play?
Yeah.
Tristan.
Guitar.
Guitar.
A rock and roll one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Addison.
The flute and drums.
Yeah.
The banjo and guitar for the country.
Yeah, for like country music. Yeah, go ahead.
I think either the violin or the guitar.
Violin or guitar. Do you have an idea?
A flute.
A flute.
2 flutes, guys.
2 flutes. Do you have an idea to that?
I jumped.
The drums. Very, very cool.
And what about me? You already said.
Yeah, you said your 2 flutes. Did you have a different idea?
A different kind of idea because I love playing the rock and roll one.
You like playing rock and roll. Maybe drums would be really good for rock and roll.
And got a guitar.
And guitar. You're right, and guitar.
Rock and roll things.
You know,
Yes.
when you put a guitar, when you take a guitar and you put it upright, it
Don't
almost
make
looks
that
like
awesome.
a bass, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And then I've got one final bonus question for everybody. So we've talked about country music, and we've talked about
Rock and roll.
a lot of you like rock and roll, a lot of you like pop, but the music that's in the book that you just listened to, when an orchestra plays music, what is that called?
I heard
Could you
that.
say that again really loudly?
Classical.
Classical music. So now that you've heard this book, raise your hand if maybe you think you're kind of a fan of classical music now too. Yeah, very cool. And then also, yeah, tell us.
So like I saw like that what you were just talking about in Trolls.
You heard classical music.
Number 2.
Classical music is in a lot of TV shows and movies, that is for sure. All right. Do you all make a promise to Miss Engel that you'll be in band one day at Spring Grove High School?
Yeah.
Yes, that's great. And also, should we say thank you to our fantastic reader today?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Engel, and Merry Christmas.